Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Electric Sheep. Um, I guess we can just get things going with our very few examples of a story that isn't a sci fi story. Let's listen to Consequences.
Consequences. Elizabeth had lived her entire life inside the gym. Chalk dust, beams, and balance had been her whole world since she was 6. By 18, she was standing under the Olympic lights, her heart drumming with the rhythm of a lifetime's discipline. Her first routine was perfect, graceful, precise, nearly effortless. The crowd erupted as she landed, but in that moment, she felt it. A crack, small but unmistakable, slicing through her ankle like lightning. She hid the pain behind a smile. Her coach, Mr. Dale, was already shouting over the cheers. "Second attempt now! Don't lose focus." "Coach, my ankle." "No excuses. You've trained for this. Move." Elizabeth hesitated. She knew something was wrong. The joint burned, the pain spreading fast, but she limped forward anyway, the weight of expectation pressing heavier than the injury itself. And then, chaos. From the stands, a massive man vaulted the railing. 7 feet tall, broad as a truck, wearing a faded t-shirt that read Power Slam 99. The crowd gasped as he charged across the floor, shouting, "Stop! Don't continue if you're hurt. You'll regret it forever." Security froze, confused. The man's voice thundered through the arena. "I was a pro wrestler. I pushed through injuries. I can't bend my knee anymore. It's not worth it." Coach Dale stormed toward him, face red. "Get out of here! Wrestling's fake! You're a joke! I'll crack!" The sound echoed louder than applause. The giant man's forehead collided with Dale's nose, and the coach collapsed like a sack of flour. "Oh, crap," the man muttered, looking down at the unconscious coach. That was definitely real. He looked around at the stunned audience, then at Elizabeth. Violence isn't the answer. Sorry, don't work while injured. Sorry for nailing your coach." And with that, he bolted, 7 feet of panic sprinting for the exit as security finally mobilized. Elizabeth stood there, trembling, not from fear, but from the shock of release. The noise faded, and she sat down on the mat. For the first time that day, she listened to her body. She rested her leg, felt the throbbing pulse of her injury, and knew the stranger was right. Later, when reporters asked, she didn't mention the headbutt or the chaos. She just said softly, "I learned something important that day. Words have consequences. Actions have consequences. And sometimes, stopping takes more strength than going on." Her ankle healed. She found a new coach, one who listened. Her career continued, and her legacy grew. But whenever she saw a fan in the stands yelling advice, she smiled and thought of that wild moment when a 7-foot wrestler crashed her Olympics, just to save her from herself.
Well, um, that was pretty well the story that I wrote. Um, I wanted it to be kind of funny. uh, I thought it was sort of funny. Um, but the chat GPT there changed things around because I had it written so that the word consequences was the last word in the story. And chat GPT decided that that didn't need to be the last word in the story, even though with other stories that I didn't write that way, it rewrote them so that the title of the story was also the last word of the story, like I like to do. And so I thought it was getting the hang of the way I like to write stories, but now it's working against me, and so I don't know how to take that. I could have had it reword. I could have easily requested that it reworded it so that the word consequences was the last word in the story, but I decided to leave it as it was because it still tells the same basic story, and didn't really throw too much extra in there. Just it added the line about it taking more strength to stop than continuing, or something along those lines. Which, fair enough, I guess it sort of fits in there. Also, it's not really what I had written. You could argue that it isn't that hard to stop yourself when it hurts, but sometimes in certain situations, there's other pressures pushing you. And so, in that way, it is more difficult to stop yourself. So, it does fit with the story. Because it was about somebody pressuring her when she should have stopped. But then it's just the idea that never mind what your response is, a headbutt just kind of cancels out the whole conversation, and then it's oh. But then you don't have your coach yelling at you anymore, even though you might feel kind of bad for a coach. But you get a new coach, so I'm not saying that that was the end of coach. It kind of sounded like, oh, and then he was gone forever. He was headbutted to death. It's like, no, that he just she decided that coach wasn't a good pick for her because they wanted to weigh one Olympics over a whole career. Yeah, so I hope somebody enjoyed that story. And if you've been listening along, you might have noticed that we recently had another story with wrestlers, and so I guess they've just been on my mind lately. Um, but my name is Joseph Arthur Roszell, and I want to wish you all the luck in the world, and I want you to remember that I love you. All right, peace out.